everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a foundation video and I feel like I have not recorded a foundation video in the longest time, so I'm actually really excited to get this filmed today. Recently, you may have seen on my Instagram stories, I went into Superdrug and I noticed that they started stocking e.l.f. and that made me so excited because they're quite difficult to find in the UK. Like, they're not as readily available as I would like. A few base products and I thought that I would try them all on today, give you my first impressions, let you know what I think about them in case you guys have been interested in purchasing yourself. So I picked up 3 products. First thing I picked up is the Illuminating Face Primer. I believe that this was actually the most expensive thing I picked up. I'm going to link everything down below because I'm not quite sure about prices, but I know that nothing was more than £8, which is incredible. So I got this, and again, this is the Illuminating Primer. I also picked up the Foundation Serum, which I really wanted to try, so excited when I noticed that they had my shade. And I also picked up a stick concealer as well, and this is called the Lightweight Concealer Stick. So 3 base products, so I thought they worked fantastically well together and I could try them on and let you guys know my first impressions. So let's talk about the primer first. The primer was actually called the Illuminating Facial Primer. It came in this really nice box. I feel like the packaging looks so much more expensive than it actually was. It looks quite high end and I really like it. It's kind of a frosted plastic bottle, has a nice pump, very minimalistic, very aesthetically pleasing. I really like it. I feel like the packaging of this range will appeal to such a wide demographic because it's not gimmicky, it's just really simplistic and sensible, and I really like it. Now, as I said, this is actually a radiating primer, so this actually gives you a bit of a glow to your complexion. But what I loved most about this product was actually the texture. You'll see when I apply it in a moment that the texture was the thing that I absolutely loved about it. It came out and it was almost like a whipped cream / mousse consistency, which I really liked. It felt really velvety, it just filled in pores, fine lines, and was just beautiful. And because it has this illuminating aspect to it, I found it very radiant. I found it to lift my complexion really nicely, and then the foundation sat really well on top of it as well. So I really like this product. I think that this has to be my favourite of the 3. And normally primers don't excite me too much, but again, it's very dewy, very glowy, very nice indeed. I feel like this would be great if you have dry skin as well. So those were kind of my first impressions of the primer, so let's have a look at me applying it. Ooh, I was not expecting that texture. It's kind of like a foam, like a mousse. That is really interesting. I really like the texture of that. So the first thing to know is that it feels really silky smooth on the skin. I really like the way this feels. It's really hydrating and I can feel it just kind of filling in any areas that are a different texture or anything like that. It feels really nice. I really like the feeling of that, and actually start with a bit of discoloration that I had from my blemishes. It's actually toned everything down, which I really like. It doesn't feel greasy, heavy, horrible. It's just sank into my skin. I feel like it's just kind of drank it up. I really like that. So as you can see, it looked really pretty. I really liked it, and then I followed up with the foundation, which is actually called the Foundation Serum, which has a broad spectrum SPF 25. Absolutely fantastic to get an SPF of 25, especially for what I paid for this. The only thing that struck me as a little bit strange about this was the fact that it's 14ml, which it looks like a standard bottle of foundation, but actually I've only just noticed when I was checking it out that it's actually 14ml, which is under half of what you would traditionally get in a 30ml foundation bottle. So, you know, I guess that might be why it's a little bit cheaper maybe. This has an SPF of 25, which is fantastic, especially as we're well into the warmer months now. What I loved about this, there's pros and cons to this foundation, and I'm going to talk about what I loved about it first before I show you me applying it. I loved how it sank into my skin. I loved how it feels. I feel like I'm wearing it today. I feel like it's such a beautiful natural foundation. The only thing I didn't quite get on board with was the coverage. I feel like the coverage was definitely a light coverage. I wouldn't even say, to be honest with you, that it's a medium. I would say it's definitely a light. So for me personally, who has acne scarring in this area here, I mean, I don't really have new blemishes that often, but when I get a foundation, I do like to be able to cover my acne scarring, which is in this kind of area here. And I also had a little bit of redness here. It dealt with the redness fine, it was more the acne scarring that it struggled with. I did only put 2 pumps on my whole face, which normally is about standard for me, but I could have laid it up, but I felt like because I bought a concealer I didn't really want to, and also I feel like you probably could put an extra layer on without compromising on the lightness too much, because it is so light, which is massively in its favour. I feel like if it had this kind of coverage but then felt heavy, there is no way I'd want to layer it up. So it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for a very comfortable foundation that's just going to give you a light wash of coverage, even out your skin tone, and more importantly be very, very, very comfortable, not like you're wearing foundation at all, then I would say definitely give this a try. It's lovely. However, if you're wanting something that's coverage based, if you want something that's going to cover anything more severe than mine, bear in mind you may have to layer it up, wear it with a concealer, or maybe perhaps this just is not the one I would go for. But if you're looking for comfort, if you're looking for a beautiful, glowy, natural looking foundation, then this is definitely your jam for sure. Now I've kind of summed it up, let's have a look at me applying it. It's kind of seeping into my brush. I'm going to have to do this quite quickly. Again, this is a very hydrating formula, so I can feel it really sinking into my skin already. It almost feels like a skincare product. Use a little bit more. Because of the texture of this, I'm finding that I am using a little bit more than I normally would with my other foundations. But it still feels nice and light. It doesn't feel like I'm caking on the layers, which is nice. No, I would say this is a very, very, very light coverage. I actually really like how light it is on my skin. It feels incredibly comfortable, which is really, really lovely actually. And even though the big window is washing me out a little bit, when I look at this in my mirror, it actually looks a lot more like my skin tone. It doesn't look as light as this. Love the way it looks, and I feel like for me personally that outweighs how light coverage it was. I don't actually need a lot of coverage. So I feel like if you need any more than me, that might be a tiny bit of a concern. But again, you could just layer it up. One more layer would be absolutely fine. I wouldn't compromise too much on the lightness. Or you could just basically opt for a concealer, which most of the time a lot of us do anyway. But that is just something to consider. I wanted to give you the raw authentics. It's definitely a light coverage for sure. Coverage wasn't too much of a concern though, because as I said, I did pick up a concealer, and this is the Beautifully Bare Lightweight Concealer Stick. This is fantastic. I basically just drew this on anywhere where I wanted a little bit of intense coverage and blended out with a brush, and it dealt with it fantastically well. So coverage wasn't too much of a concern if you opt for a concealer. I love the fact that this was a stick form. It's beautifully creamy. It just draws onto the skin, blends, and basically melts into your skin and disappears. It doesn't crease, it doesn't feel horrible, it wasn't dragging across my skin. It was very easy to blend, and I feel like with stick products it's all about how they blend and all about how natural they look and how they can merge into your skin, and this did it fantastically well. Sometimes with stick formulas they can be quite tough and putty like, and you really have to blend them in, and they never quite sit well, they never blend well into your skin. This was actually a pleasant surprise. No shimmer to this. This is pure matte pigment that's going to give you coverage, and I really, really like this product. It's just here you'll see, and I had a little red dot here which I'm going to see how it deals with at the moment. So I'm just going to draw it on areas where I feel needs that little bit extra. And again, this formula is so lightweight and it is covering them up well. However, I'm going to have to blend this in, and this is definitely a matte concealer, and while I'm at it I'm going to do a little bit in my under eye area and see how it does there. If you wanted more intense coverage, I suppose you could pack this in as opposed to blending it in like I have. In a nutshell, I really like it. My complexion looks really glowy. I am going to show it you up close. I feel like together they made my complexion look really natural and glowy and healthy, and my skin looked better. But I think the best thing about these products is how light they feel. I don't feel like I'm wearing a full face of slap. I think together they make a beautiful combination. As I do with all my foundation videos, I have a few errands to run today, so it's actually 11:30, and I actually put this on about an hour ago, so I've been wearing it an hour already, which is absolutely fine. I'm going to pop back at around 7 o'clock this evening and I'll show you all how it's fared and give you my thoughts how I found it throughout the day. 10 to 7 at night now, so I've been wearing it all day and I feel like it's lasted really well. I really wasn't expecting it to last as well as it has. Obviously the blemishes have started to come through ever so slightly, but for this time of night, that is insane. I'm actually super impressed. I didn't think I was going to be this impressed with the concealer. I'm really happy with it. The foundation has definitely broke away in some areas, but again, it hasn't oxidized, which I really like. And I really like it. I feel like it's glowy, and I definitely think I can get another few hours out of this makeup. I don't feel like I need to go and touch it up or anything like that. Again, it didn't oxidize, which is lovely. And yeah, I'm really liking it. Very dewy. It's still very glowy. Obviously, I'm a little bit kind of annoyed about these blemishes because they haven't but they didn't completely cover it in the first place, so I have to be mindful of that. My complexion hasn't changed much. Again, I wouldn't really recommend this foundation if you want something that's really high in coverage. It's definitely not that. If you want something that's quite light coverage that you can build upon and use concealer with, definitely ample for that. I love the primer, and again, I love the concealer as well. So that's it, guys. That's my thoughts in regards to the illuminating primer, the concealer stick and the serum foundation. I hope you've all found this useful, and I hope it's encouraged you to go and give e.l.f. a try. I'm really impressed. I really like it. As I said, I felt like the coverage was the only thing. It didn't oxidize and it just mellowed off throughout the day and looked very nice indeed. I have no qualms with it. The only thing I had was the initial one, which was the coverage, but if you can get over that, you can wear a concealer. I think this is absolutely fine. I'm going to link everything that I've discussed in the information box down below, as well as where else to find me. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and if you would like to see more foundation videos and reviews from me, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!